The 2010 midterms will certainly be remembered for the influence of the Tea Party. But was it a double-edged sword? While the Tea Party helped rally voters to lead to a GOP takeover of the House of Representatives, did it also cost Republicans control of the Senate by nominating candidates that were too radical? Joining me to debate just how helpful or harmful the Tea Party was for Republicans last week, Mark Williams, one of the guys at the center of the storm, former chair of the Tea Party Express and current president of Conservative Party USA. He's also author of the book, It's Not Right versus Left, It's Right versus Wrong. Mark, thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Great to see you here.
Yeah.
It just happens also to be tea time in the studio.
Like I haven't had enough tea in the last 2 years.
Okay, our Tea Party, well.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yes, isn't it? Sharon Angle lost in Nevada. Christine
Yes.
O'Donnell lost in Delaware. Ken Buck lost in Colorado.
Yep.
You had a bunch of Tea Party people going down in flames, and now you've got people like Congressman Baucus,
yep.
not the senator, but the Republican congressman,
Yep.
going, it's all the Tea Party's fault. It's all your fault, Mark Williams.
Well, and it's a surprise maybe to Republicans and to people who thought we were some kind of a Republican tool, but it's not a surprise to Tea Partiers. I mean, what happened on Election Day was the American people taking out a restraining order against out-of-control, irresponsible government at the hands of both parties under presidents of both parties that has been continually accelerating.
So how is it out of, the out-of-control part that I see is two wars that were never declared by Congress and therefore arguably are unconstitutional, and that has so far cost us a couple of $1 trillion and will probably cost us 3 or 4 more by the time all the vets are cared for the next 50 years. What else?
Throw in a few $1 trillion of unfunded health care, a few $1 trillion of...
You're talking about Obamacare? Obamacare actually
Obamacare,
reduced the budget deficit by over $100 billion.
There's... Right at this very moment, 2/3 of the federal budget is unfunded because there's no money there for it. That's why they're running the printing presses. That's why they're monetizing it. What we have in this country is a problem with prioritizing what needs to be addressed and what doesn't need to. The defense budget is a good example.
Sure.
There is, having been to Iraq myself and seen what's happening on the ground, and having spoken with the people there and the men and women and people as high as the Joint Chiefs of Staff, there's money that's being flushed down a rat hole in the Defense Department.
We're paying $1,000 a gallon just to get gasoline into Afghanistan. I mean, $1,000 a gallon we're paying to Halliburton and these companies.
And we have guys walking around with backpacks full of cash trying to buy off, tribesmen who
that's
are
right, and
giving
that's
it to
the only
local
that's the
warlords.
only way it's ever going to work is to pay these people off. But we need to declare victory and get out of there. And maybe we agree on the anti-interventionist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long, old Republican tradition, conservative tradition.
I'm not going to argue that we don't have an interest in intervening in places, but what we do have is a government that is not acting with fiduciary responsibility with the money we give them to do the jobs that they were tasked in the Constitution.
Well, the Constitution's a pretty broad document. I mean, you've got the General Welfare Clause. What does that mean?
Well, general welfare doesn't mean welfare for the general public. It means
well, actually, it did. In the George Washington administration, it did. George Washington was the first president to appropriate and spend money to care for health care, food, and shelter for poor people. He was the first president.
The whole point of the Constitution...
I think he knew the Constitution.
The whole point of the Constitution is to sweep away the artificial obstacles that people like you and me and others who want to work for a living face, who want to advance our lives. And one of the greatest obstacles the Founding Fathers understood was government. And the more government, the less individual freedom.
Mark, what the founders did was create government. They were big fans of government.
They created a big lockbox to put government in.
They did not want, the 3 historic forms of government that we had for 7,000 years were kings who ruled by
fiat
warlord power, basically warlords, kings who ruled by riches, multi-generational hereditary riches, which Teddy Roosevelt tried to break up here with the estate tax. No, with the estate tax. And theocrats, people who said that they ruled by virtue of God.
Well,
and what I keep hearing from guys on your side is, let's keep the rich guys rich and let's make them even richer. Let's have tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires.
Let's all aspire to be rich.
And yeah, right.
Let's all aspire to be rich. I mean, you're a great example.
There's enough money in America for everybody in this country to become a billionaire.
You're a great example. You've put together a media conglomerate empire, whatever you want to call it, of cable, of television, of new media, of radio, of writing.
Mark, this is the land of opportunity.
But the government didn't instruct you to do that. You did it.
And I haven't gone into Congress and said, I only want to pay 15% maximum income tax. Whereas the guys who are sitting on their butts around the pool waiting for the dividend checks to arrive because they're running hedge funds on Wall Street, the Mitt Romneys of the world, who simply make their money buying and selling companies, are paying a maximum 15% income tax.
Well,
and after the first $100,000, they pay nothing in Social Security.
What do I care what they pay?
Because
so long
part
as
of
people
the cost
can
of
make
government
money.
is coming from what they pay.
But what do I care what
because
they make?
Because you're paying more taxes, so they pay less.
There are more of us who are rich. There are more of us paying in more money. I want to be rich. You want to be rich. What is the point of reducing that population?
Well, it's very simple. It's very simple. That's actually a very good and genuine and honest question, Mark. And let me give you a good, just an honest and genuine answer. I want to live in a society where the guy next to me, when he coughs, I don't have to worry that he has tuberculosis. I have worked in countries. I've worked in Africa, I've worked in India, I've worked all across Southeast Asia, I've worked in South America. Right. I've worked in countries where, actually we even took over a leper colony in India. The lack of the substrate of a strong public health system, of a public health system that covers everybody. I mean, this is one of the main reasons in
How
Europe.
did we eliminate polio?
Why?
How did we eliminate TB? How did we eliminate whooping cough? And now they're all coming back.
We did it with government funding.
No,
all of those vaccines were developed by the National Institutes of Health. All of them. And all of those programs are paid for by the government.
All those diseases are coming back because the government has gotten in the way.
They're coming back in the United States.
Yeah.
Because you've got 30 million people who don't have access to health insurance. They're not coming back in Europe,
wide open
where
borders
everybody is
with
covered.
20 million people pouring across the border, bringing diseases from the third world.
If those people had access to health care,
they did in their countries. They come from countries with nationalized health care.
Well,
and they're bringing whooping cough.
And we, for example, Louise and I was giving a speech in London, maybe a decade ago, and our daughter was with us, and she was sick, and we were staying with some friends. 11 o'clock at night, she had an ear infection, really got bad. So he says, well, let's call the local surgery. We call the local doctor's office, and the guy says, I'll come over to the house. He comes over to the house, checks her out, gives her medication, and leaves. And it's like, what do we owe you? No, nothing. It's, everybody here is covered. Even visitors. I mean, don't I owe you something? He said, yeah, no, it's just fine. Don't worry about it. It's
why shouldn't you pay him?
That country does not worry about epidemics breaking out. About those diseases that you're talking about, because if somebody's sick in that country, or in any of the European countries, or any of the OECD countries, or in Costa Rica, if somebody's sick, they go into the hospital and say, I got a pain here. If you walk into a hospital ER in the United States and say, I got a pain here, they say, are you bleeding? No, I'm not bleeding, I just have a pain here. They say, go away. Come back when it turns into full-blown metastasized cancer and busts open your gut.
My dog and cat have the world's greatest healthcare plan. It's me. No money is no object. But they're pets. I'm nobody's pet. I want to pay my own way. In fact, my wife and I are self-insured. We pay our own way. We negotiate our own fees with our doctors.
God forbid you ever get $1 million cancer.
Well, then, in your plan, I'm your problem.
Yeah.
So long as you want to make me your problem, I'll take it when something serious happens.
That's my point, Mark.
I shouldn't be your problem.
If we are all willing to protect each other by collectively paying for the fire departments to put out the fire in our house,
I should protect myself. I should be protecting or be able to protect myself the same way I can protect my home from fire, my car from accident.
Mark, I think it's admirable that you're aspiring to learn how to read a $3 million MRI, and that you've got X-ray machines at home.
Not to become a doctor,
that you've learned how to do surgery on your wife. I'm really impressed. But
I'll give you a great.
But let's move on from healthcare.
Okay.
I mean, I got it. We talked about the war. We agree. We talked about healthcare. We disagree. I'm curious. With the Tea Party. What about international trade? You heard my opening rant about international trade.
You find a lot of Tea Partiers who are on the same page with you.
I think so, too.
You'll find an awful lot who are on the same page with you on securing the borders. You'll find people. You'll find
with regard to securing the borders, I think that we just need to put some employers in jail and people will stop coming.
I'm with you on
people
that.
Are coming
I've said
for
that
jobs.
on the radio for years. If you put some of the CEOs of some of the biggest companies in this country on the perp walk, illegal immigration dries up overnight.
And by the way, that's what used to happen before '86 when Reagan Reagan stopped enforcing
When Reagan
immigration laws.
screwed up.
And yeah.
Reagan screwed up. It was one of his
in a
big
whole
mistakes.
variety of big ways.
One of his big mistakes is
But we started with taxes.
Yes.
Okay, so we found some areas, it's
Yeah.
interesting, some areas of agreement and disagreement. Why is it that, if the Bush tax cuts had never happened, our debt right now would not be approaching $14 trillion. It would be in the neighborhood of 9.
I don't know that.
Well,
The spending is still out of control.
The math is not.
I mean, Bush committed us to a $4 trillion prescription plan.
Over what period of time?
Over God knows how long, forever.
Yeah, I mean,
at
that's
this
you know,
point.
the numbers like that.
But
I'm not a fan of the prescription plan either, as it was, because it was unfunded. Why not
How
say,
would you fund it? How would you fund Obamacare?
We had.
Who would pay for it?
We had 40 years of incredible prosperity in this country, from the late 30s
It's
until
gone.
the mid 80s.
So now how do we pay for it?
What did we have going during that period of time? We had a trade policy that was protectionist. We had a top marginal tax rate on millionaires and billionaires that was over 90%, so they were encouraged to keep money in their businesses rather than suck it out, and so that they were discouraged from gambling like crazy on Wall Street. So we didn't have booms and busts. In fact, it was the first time in the history of the United States, the period from 35 until 86 was the first time in the history of the United States that we've gone more than 16 years without a major bank failure. A major nationwide bank failure. So I'm saying roll back the Reagan tax cuts. He blew that one. And start enforcing the laws that Reagan stopped enforcing, in particular the antitrust laws, where he let all these companies get bigger and bigger, and you had this mergers and acquisition mania, the Michael Milkens of the world, that never should have happened.
See, here's something basic about taxes people don't understand, the way that we apply taxes in this country, particularly income taxes. You give breaks to that which you wish to encourage. You increase taxes on that which you wish to discourage. That's why we.
Right.
That's why it costs $8 for a pack of cigarettes in Washington, D.C.
Sure. And I want to discourage people from taking money out of their businesses and gambling in the stock market.
But you don't do that by taking it away from them.
Yes, you do.
No, you encourage them to put it someplace else that creates jobs.
You absolutely do. But
No.
Mark, it's a point of disagreement. But thanks for coming out.
Awfully nice to meet you, Thom.
It's great. Yeah, it's great to have you here. Thank you very much.